In this group, we chat about clothes, beauty, home decor, parenting, marriage, cooking, and of course, our Christian walk. It's Christian lifestyle all encompassing. So be sure to join by clicking the link below. I hope to chat with you soon. Now back to our show. Good evening, Grown Lady Chat community. I feel like it's been so long since we have connected, and I'm excited about this evening. I'm excited because it's going to be a really good topic. It's going to be life transforming. All right. It might be a little challenging to hear, but I assure you that we are going to be able to take away something impactful from tonight's chat. Okay, so good evening, welcome. So happy you are here. Tracy is already in the chat. So good evening, Tracy. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you are having a great week so far. Let me know what you all have planned for the holiday tomorrow, 4th of July. Good evening. Thank you for being here. Always hop in the comments and let me know you're here, because even though you're watching, I won't be able to see that you are here specifically unless you let me know by hopping in the comment section. So good evening, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. If it's your first time, I am Dr. Sharonda Simone. I'm the host of Grown Lady Chat. And this is a community of Christian women. We love the Lord. We do life together. And my role is to empower, strengthen, teach, enrich, energize, and motivate us to all live beautifully in Christ. So if this is your first time tuning in, or if you're looking for a community of God-fearing women to grow with, to learn with, to share with, then this is the community for you. So welcome. So happy you're here. Tracy, you're asking about my family in Jamaica, right? So I have yet to reach out to anyone. We were out of town for the week, and then when I came back and things kind of settled down, that's when, I was made aware of it. So as of now, no one has reached out to me, like my mother, my father, everybody is stateside. Nobody has reached out to say they've heard anything concerning yet as far as the hurricane in Jamaica. But I do plan on reaching out. Actually, one of my friends, she and I were chatting, and she too is Jamaican. She has family in Jamaica. So we were talking about it earlier, just saying that we need to reach out to them. So as of now, I have not heard anything in a negative way, but I do plan on reaching out to my family members. So thank you so much for inquiring. Thank you. And of course, I'm keeping everybody in my prayers, everybody in Jamaica in my prayers. So thank you for asking. All righty, ladies. I see more ladies joining. All right. Be sure to hop in the comments and let me know that you're here. Yes, God is faithful, Tracy. He is very faithful. So as a matter of fact, let me put a little reminder for myself, because as you know, things happen as soon as I get off the call. Then I'm on mommy duty, wife duty, as soon as the show is done, I mean. So let me make a reminder for myself just to reach out to some of my family members. Now, again, most of my family is stateside in the United States, but I still have quite a bit of extended family that's in Jamaica. So let me just make a reminder. Okay. Yeah. All righty. Very good. Very good. Let me turn on some background music. And let me see. A little bit of background music for tonight's episode. Let me know if you can still hear me. Yeah, you can. Okay, let me know if you can still hear me. So yes, it has been a few episodes that I have not been on. So if you follow me on social media, then you know I was out of town. My sister, my younger sister, not my baby sister, but my younger sister, she got married. Yay! So we went up to Ohio. We stopped in Pittsburgh first and spent some time with my husband's side of the family. That was really great because my children were able to meet, grandparents and aunties and all of that. So it was wonderful just to spend time. And then my husband was also able to show them, where he grew up. which was really nostalgic. It was wonderful. We also had some other family business that we had to handle. So it was good that we were able to, kill two birds with one stone. And then we went to Ohio. We had a great time, celebrated my sister and her hubby. So it was just wonderful all around. That being said, though, I was not able to queue up the episodes as I had planned. So my plan was to have episodes scheduled and prepped and ready to go so that even though I wasn't physically here, I would still have episodes. But we had to leave a day earlier on account of the family business we had to take care of in Pittsburgh. So I wasn't able to do that. But thank you so much to those of you who reached out to me and who were faithful in tuning in and just inquiring just to make sure that everything was okay. So yes, everything is fine. It's just, life got hectic. And so I appreciate you for still tuning in. Okay. And again, that's not my desire. I really want to stay consistent, but life happens at times. And, my duty is to my family first. Right. So I was able to I was able to do that part, but unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to come on. Regardless, we're here tonight, episode 108, and this topic is actually a topic that was brought to me by a Grown Lady Chat community member, but it's one that has been echoed in multiple conversations with other women and even men. All right, I've had this conversation with men even. But this specific topic is one when it comes to feeling as though you're being taken for granted or that you're not being appreciated or you're not feeling the love from your inner circle. All right. So I'm not talking about feeling unappreciated or taken for granted, at your job. That's a whole nother conversation. I'm not talking about when you feel taken for granted or unappreciated with acquaintances or strangers. I'm talking about in your inner circle, in your family, with your children, with your spouse, with your friends that you are pouring into, and you don't always feel reciprocation. So that's what I want to talk about because especially following Mother's Day and Father's Day, I had a lot of people reach out to me just in casual conversation or even specifically about this for a topic because they felt unappreciated. And as a parent, I can identify with, having gone through multiple Mother's Day or Mother's Days. And, I have had conversations with other mothers and fathers who felt as though, they just did not feel appreciated. And so I wanted to talk about that and what could possibly be happening. All right. Now, there are multiple reasons why maybe you are feeling unappreciated or you're feeling as though you're being taken for granted. It could be legitimate that, your feelings are true. Sometimes it's just, a misunderstanding, a misconception. But again, for the purpose of tonight's conversation, I want for us to focus on situations where it's your inner circle, your children, your spouse, your friends, your family members, those who you're pouring into, you're not feeling the love back. Okay. And I want to talk about that because there could be something that is precisely happening why others aren't sowing into you the way you're sowing into them. All right. So again, just realize that I'm not saying this is the blanket statement for everybody in every situation, but it could be for you. And if it is, the good news is you can make a change that will positively impact all of these relationships. Okay. So I want for you to stay tuned. Throughout the duration of tonight's episode, I want to hear from you, chime in, all of that, because it's going to be a good chat. It'll be a good chat. All right. Tracy says that I have a son living in Marysville, Ohio, and 2 grandsons in Columbus. Wonderful. Congratulations to my sister. Yes. So it's actually Jasmine. She has been on the Grown Lady Chat, community before. She has been one of my special guests. So if you've ever seen her name pop up in the conversations, she's the sister I'm talking about, Tracy. So yeah, that's wonderful. I know that you and I, we've discovered that we have that Ohio connection, which is wonderful. Yeah, it was a beautiful wedding. Oh my goodness. And she looked absolutely gorgeous. And both of them, both she and her husband are just so happy. So I was really grateful that we were able to celebrate with her. Truly, truly a wonderful time. All righty. So, that every episode we have a question of the day. All right. Question of the day. Now, as I was getting the episode ready, the internet started fritzing and acting crazy. So I had some things already loaded so I could pop them up on the screen, but they got erased. So I wanted to share the question of the day, which was, what is one thing you do to celebrate yourself? Okay, so that's the question of the day. Go ahead and hop in the comments and let me know, ladies, what is one thing you do to celebrate yourself? It can be a big thing, a little thing. It could be buying yourself something. It could be taking rest. But what is one thing that you do to celebrate yourself? Because yes, we are wired as humans to want to be appreciated and to be loved. I think there's nothing wrong with that. In the same token, it's important for us to celebrate ourselves, because there are going to be times when you might not get that appreciation. You might not get that gratitude from others. So I want for you to identify one thing that you do to celebrate yourself. Drop in the comments and let me know. All right, that's the question of the day. Question of the day. All right, so before I go any further, I just want to remind you, okay, that we are having our first Grown Lady Chat conference, July 2025. Ladies, you don't want to miss it, okay? I am actively working on the speakers and the format and the breakout sessions and all of that good stuff, okay? It will be happening in Thomasville, Georgia. So Southern Georgia, cute little town, really, really nice. I don't want for you to miss it. So just put that on your calendar for July of next year. All right. It's going to be our first in-person conference. It's going to be wonderful. You are going to grow from it. You're going to be challenged, and you'll be able to make those in-person connections. All right. We have so many little connections happening in the Grown Lady Chat community, but I don't want for you to miss out on this in-person networking opportunity and connection opportunity. So just stay tuned for that. The easiest way for you to stay abreast of what's happening is to join my email community. Very simple, absolutely free for just the basic email membership. And it's just going to my website, entering your information, and that's it. Okay. Every email that I send out, you'll get it. Make sure that you add Dr. Sharonda Simone as a contact, though, so that it doesn't go to your spam, because you don't want for that to happen. All right. Okay. Question of the day. What is one thing you do to celebrate yourself, ladies? This is something that we as women need to focus on, because we are natural nurturers. So we have a tendency to do for others and to forget or neglect to do for ourselves. So what is one thing that you do to celebrate yourself? All right. And it can be something small. I'm not talking about a big soiree, for your birthday, which I think that's wonderful. I like to do that for myself. But what is one little thing maybe that you do just to celebrate yourself, just to give yourself a pat on the back? That's one thing. Maybe you can give some of us ideas with your comment. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Can you hear the music? I feel like it's so quiet, but I don't want for it to be too loud. It's nice to have some ambiance. Let me turn it up just a little bit. How is that? Is that too loud? Let me know in the comments. Also, too, I'm going to share the code, the link, if you do want to come on and show your lovely face. You can do that. Okay, I've shared the link on Facebook as well as YouTube. So if you ever want to come on with either your audio, video, or both, that's what you're going to do. You're going to click that link for tonight's episode. If you're catching the replay, welcome. I know many of you tune in for the replay because of time zone differences. And I know usually we go live on Thursday, but on account of the holiday tomorrow, I opted to go live tonight. So just remember, Monday and Thursday, that's our usual times. Okay, let's get into it. All right, let's get into tonight's episode, because I don't want for us to be on too long this evening, but I just wanted to touch base. So again, I received a message. Let me see if I can, this is just one of many, but this person particularly asked me to come on and talk about this tonight, but I've received similar comments and commentary from other people. Okay. Um, so a member of Grown Lady Chat reached out to me and said, another good topic is teaching our kids early about giving over receiving, because I was truly disturbed by the lack of love that my husband received from our children yesterday, after all of the love he pours into them. And she's talking specifically about Father's Day. For example, they sent text messages versus calling him. And she was able to see the hurt in his face and in his countenance. And all she could do was just celebrate and uplift him as much as she could as his wife. But she was concerned and just really disturbed because she realized that her kids weren't showing, as much appreciation to their father. All right. So again, this is a conversation that I've had with other mothers and fathers. This is a conversation I've had with other women with regard to their friend groups and their family members. And I firmly believe that in most situations, especially when we're talking about close relationships between, children and their parents, and between spouses, friends, we teach people how to treat us. Now, before you say, oh, well, no, that can't be the case because, I'm a good person. And so how could you say that I'm teaching my children not to appreciate me, or I'm teaching my spouse not to appreciate me, or my friends to take me for granted? Listen to what I'm saying. We teach people how to treat us. And yes, we want to lead by example and pour into others, right? And we will sow seeds of kindness and care and nurture. And we love on our friends and family members and our children and our spouse, as we should. And we don't do that just for the mere fact that we want it done to us. That's not why we're doing it. We do that because that's who we are. That's how we love. That's how we care for. However, I want for you to ask yourself, when it comes to how you treat yourself, when it comes to the boundaries that you set, when it comes to the standard and expectation that you have for yourself and how you relate to yourself, how you celebrate and love on yourself, are you having a high standard? Because if you are not treating yourself properly, if you're not setting your own boundaries, then chances are people around you are going to subconsciously take that cue, and they're going to treat you the same way you treat yourself. And I'm trying to phrase it properly so that nobody gets offended. But I know, let me just tell you my own personal experience. About 6 or 7 years ago, I came to the realization that I was not treating myself well. I was treating others well. I was pouring into others. I was respecting the boundaries of others. I was being selfless for others. Not saying I did everything perfectly, but by and large, when it came to my family, my friends, I was going the distance. But when it came to myself, I would shortchange. When it came to myself, as far as even buying myself things or loving on myself, I would always try to undercut or go the easiest, simplest, least expensive, budget friendly experience. So then when it came time for others to love on me, subconsciously, that's the cue they got. Now, again, it's not always a tangible thing. I'm just telling you what my experience was. It's not always tangible. But if I was not willing to love on myself and create my own boundaries with my own time and my own finances, if I wasn't willing to do that for myself and celebrate myself, how could I then expect other people to do that? So sometimes we are asking others to do for us what we won't do for ourselves, especially when it comes to appreciating ourselves, loving on ourselves. And remember, we're not talking about a selfishness. We're not talking about forsaking others and neglecting our responsibilities. We're talking about this in the confines of being a child of God and realizing that we were given this life, given this body, given this time, yes, to glorify God, to serve God, to do the Great Commission. But never in the Bible does it say that you have to hurt yourself, harm yourself, neglect yourself. Yes, you can sacrifice for others. Yes, you can at times forsake your own needs for others, but that doesn't mean that you have to treat yourself badly or shortchange yourself. And I found that in many situations, that's what I was doing. And then I would get frustrated and hurt and feel taken for granted because others weren't willing to do what I wasn't willing to do for myself. And so it doesn't always have to be physical things like gifts or, parties. It could be something as simple as how you spend your time, especially as parents. When your children are born, they come into the world needing all of your attention. They need you all the time. Children literally are born selfish because they have to be in order to survive. And if we as parents, specifically in this conversation, if we as parents aren't going to teach our children how to be selfless and how to give and how to make sacrifices and how to care for others, those same children who grow up, who are selfish at birth because they have to cry when they have needs, someone has to take care of them, someone has to love on them, someone has to feed them. If we don't teach them as they grow older how to care about others, then they're going to grow up to be selfish, self-centered adults. And then you're going to wake up one day and say, wow, it was Mother's Day, it was Father's Day, and I couldn't even get a phone call. I got a text. No one stopped by. No one even gave a card, right? It's not always about the monetary. It's about the mindset. It's not always about the gift. It's about the heart. There are many times when I tell people, look, I didn't get a chance to get you a gift, not because I couldn't afford it, but because there was just no time. I didn't know what to get you, but yet I'm picking up the phone. I'm going to call you and I'm going to sing happy birthday. I'm going to tell you how much I appreciate you. I'm going to, send you an email even, just so I can touch base with you, send you a voice message. There are times when I call, people don't answer the phone. I'm going to leave a voice message, so that they can know, hey, I was thinking of you. I didn't just have a pre-made text, but I was actually reaching out. So we as parents, we have to teach our children how to treat us once they get past that survival mode as babies and infants, right? And so specifically with this conversation, again, I heard this, I talked to men and women alike around Mother's Day and Father's Day. And, so they would ask, well, what did you do for Mother's Day? Or what did your family do for you? And I would tell them. And then I would say to them, well, what did your family do? Oh, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Or I only got a text message. No one stopped by. No one checked on me. But on the flip side, when their child needs something, they'll blow their phone up. And this is what, parents have told me. My child will blow my phone up. They'll send me every text message. They'll call. They'll show up at the front door when they need me. But then when I'm to be celebrated for all that I've poured into them, they're nowhere to be found. And I could see the anguish. I'm thinking about the conversations that I've had with people just this past May and June. And I can remember the anguish in their eyes. And again, I really think that it's important for us as parents to teach our children how to celebrate us. Because if we don't, then chances are they're not going to do it. Now, you do have some outliers. You do have some people that come in the world and they are genuinely just givers and they will love on and they will, do all they can. Absolutely. But by and large, people have to be taught how to care for others because we come into the world with sinful hearts. We come into the world and our inclination is survival. If a young child, a baby, an infant, weren't selfish and just waited for their sleep-deprived mother to remember to feed them and change them, they wouldn't survive. So they have to cry. They have to be needy. They have to say, me, 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 me. But at some point, we have to teach our children, It's not always about you. And I'll tell my kids that out of love. It's not always about you. Sometimes it's about daddy. Sometimes it's about mommy. Sometimes it's about your brother, your sister. These are real conversations that we need to have with our children so that they realize that the world doesn't revolve around them. You know, one thing that I let my children know, I was not placed on this earth solely or only to be at your beck and call. I love you. I love being your mother. I love sacrificing for you. I love doing things for you. I am so grateful to God for you. I'll tell them this, and I mean it wholeheartedly, and my actions show it. At the same time, I'm also a wife. So there will be times when I can't do for you because I'm doing for my husband. I'm also an entrepreneur. So there'll be times when I can't do for you. I'm doing for my business. There'll be times when I'm also an individual. I can't do for you. I'm going to do it for myself. Sometimes I'll come into the office and here at the house, and I will just sit in quiet in the room with coffee, tea, beverage of choice, and I'll have some jazz music playing. The lights are low. It's moody. I have a candle lit, and all of my children want to flow in and follow me like I'm the Pied Piper. And I'm like, no, this is mommy's time. This is my time to just be alone and stare at the walls if I want to, right? This is my time. And they're like, well, mommy, why can't we come in? Don't you love us? I absolutely love you. Of course you can come in, but not right now. This is my time. And by showing them that I too have value in my time, it's setting a precedence for them to know that while, yes, my mommy loves me, she cares for me, I sacrifice for them, they see that, I buy gifts for them, I shower them with love, I encourage them, I discipline them. I also know that I too am valued, right? And it's not always just about them. And we have to teach our children this. In the same token, we have to teach our friends this. We have to teach our spouse this, our family members, our close inner circle. If they don't see us valuing ourselves, our time, our resources, our energy, our money, if they don't see us giving value ourselves subconsciously, inadvertently, they will treat us the same way we treat ourselves. Yes, you have to treat others the way you want to be treated. Absolutely. That's biblical. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You also should do to yourself as you want for others to do to you, because they're going to follow your lead. They're going to follow your lead. So back to the question of the day. What is it that you do to celebrate yourself? What is one thing? All right, let's hop into the comments and let's see. So Tracy says, I really can't think of one thing I do to celebrate me, but Tim and I spend 1 hour together every day at 3:30 sitting on our deck and just celebrate our life together. That's wonderful. That is celebrating you. In my opinion, that is celebrating you. That's something that you enjoy doing. That's something that you're not forced to do. It's something that brings you happiness. It's something that brings you closer to your spouse. And you obviously both enjoy it if it's an everyday thing. The clock is set at 3:30. You know where you're going to be. So to me, that is celebrating yourself, right? So it could be that your way of celebrating yourself is doing something with the one you love. It doesn't have to be just you solo, right? So to me, I think that we can absolutely consider that as something you do to celebrate yourself, right? It could be sitting with your spouse. Tracy also says, I will have to agree that when I was younger and my kids were home, I did ignore my needs. 40 years ago, this was never talked about. So glad you're talking about this. Yeah, you know, I have told people before, and they think I'm joking, and I wanted to find a picture, but gosh, how many years ago now? It had to have been like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but I received a macaroni necklace from my son. And, you know, they make these macaroni necklaces in school, preschool and all. And over time, the macaroni crumbles because it's food. So it's going to crumble. And before it did, though, I would wear my macaroni necklace. I would wear it to work. Absolutely. And I would be proud to wear my macaroni and yarn necklace. At the same time, I would also say when it came to Mother's Day or my birthday, I would also expect something that clinks, something, some jewelry with a box. And people would say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you would say that." No, no, no. Why not? We have to teach our children that, yes, because for your birthday, you're not expecting for me just to give you a macaroni necklace, right? Now, do your kids themselves, depending on their age and whatnot, do they have money and resources to lavish you with gifts? Probably not. My children are too young to have jobs. As far as my three with my husband, right? My two oldest, my bonus babies, they do have jobs and they do lavish me with gifts. But even still, even before they were at that point, it was always an understanding of, I would ask them, what are you getting your father for Father's Day? What are you making your father for Father's Day? Are you making him a card? Are you going to help me bake cookies for him, right? Are you drawing him a picture? Are we going to Dollar Tree and getting him, something from the dollar section? It doesn't have to be a big monetary move, but it needs to be thoughtful. It needs to be a sign of appreciation. It's a mindset. That's what I want for us to get, that it's a mindset. Because if we don't instill the mindset when they're younger, when they grow older, you're going to see that they don't know how to show appreciation. They know how to receive it because you've been doing your part. Okay, so that's another disclaimer. We're not talking about situations where the relationship is not good. Maybe, you haven't shown up as a parent like you should. No, we know we're not perfect, but we're talking about situations where it's a good relationship and yet your children aren't showing appreciation. Your spouse isn't showing appreciation. You feel underappreciated in your relationships with your close circle. Could it be that they're getting the cue from you? Could it be that they don't see you valuing yourself? Could it be that you're afraid to ask for what you want? When I first got married and I knew I was going to have children, I realized that my birthday and Mother's Day, they usually fall very closely. I'm a May baby. And so I made sure to tell my hubby, I would like to be celebrated separately. That's important to me because I was Sharonda before I was a mommy. And my role as Sharonda is not the same as my role as mommy. So I was very vocal about that. Does that mean that I expect, a big bash for each, a celebration? No, but I do want for there to be a separate understanding. We're celebrating mommy, we're celebrating Sharonda. Now, mark you, I do the same thing for my family. For my husband, there is a Father's Day and there is a birthday. His birthday is in May as well. And so one could say, well, May is close to June. We just lump it all together. Happy Father's Day, happy birthday. No, it's separate. It's absolutely separate. And my son, his birthday is June 19. So I'm instilling in him, I'm teaching him even to set the precedent for himself for when he has a family, to expect to be celebrated as a father and as Brennan. Again, I'm not saying that this in a monetary only way or a tangible gift only. I'm talking about the mindset. What is the mindset that we are teaching others around us? Because if we're shortchanging ourselves and if we are not setting boundaries and expectations for ourselves, what we would do for ourselves, but we're expecting other people to do it for us, I think that's in error. And you're always going to be disappointed because people are looking, they are seeing, how are you treating yourself? How are you treating your time? How are you showing up for yourself? How are you celebrating yourself? And if you can't show through genuine actions that you make yourself a priority, that doesn't mean you're neglecting everybody else. I'm saying if you can't say, I'm making myself a priority, then chances are others around you might not prioritize you either because they're looking, they're paying attention. They're paying attention. And as Tracy said before, when she was younger and her kids were at home, she ignored her own needs. And many parents do that. We do that because we love our kids. We do that because maybe resources are tight. We do that because, maybe that's what we saw growing up. But remember, it's not always about the money spent. It's about a mindset. It doesn't take me any money to come into my space, close the door, and turn on some jazz. That doesn't take money. It does, however, though, show my family that I also prioritize my mental health and peace and calm at times. And it teaches them to respect that. It teaches them that mommy has needs too. And I think that's important for us as parents to show our children that, yes, we're going to bend over backward for them. Yes, we're going to sacrifice for them. Yes, we're going to make it happen for them and put them first many times, but it cannot be all the time. I think it's very healthy for us to show our children that. I remember growing up, there would be times, much like Tracy and her husband, Tim, when my parents would go and they would sit on the deck. And as kids, we would have our face plastered against the glass. And unless there were like a fire happening in the house, we dare not go outside because it was mommy and daddy time. I think that is wonderful. So that's what I'm saying. I believe that is pouring into yourself. That is celebrating yourself. My parents did that. So growing up, I knew that while my parents were going to sacrifice for me and do all they can, they also are going to prioritize their marriage. There are times when my kids are like, can we come with you and daddy? No, you can't. Why? Because we need special, quiet, alone time as well. It's so important for us to have these conversations and for us not to be afraid as women, as parents, as friends, to ask for what we want. We should not be afraid to confidently say, this is what I need out of this relationship. And in the same token, give it to ourselves. Remember, you can't expect someone to do for you that which you are unwilling to do for yourself. And lady, trust me, it took me years to come to the realization that I was not willing to do for myself what I was wanting others to do for me. I was cheapskating myself. I was cheapskating myself when it came to gifts, when it came to experiences, when it came to boundaries. And I was like, wait, how can I expect for others to love on me if I won't even step up for myself? Crazy, right? But that was my experience. And I remember telling my husband, he's like, what do you mean? And I had to give him examples. Now, I have made drastic changes. And I can see now where others are changing how they celebrate me. Because I have begun to celebrate myself the way I would like to be celebrated. But I'm doing it for myself first. And remember, we don't do it just so others can do it for us. We do it because, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And it doesn't always have to be a big price tag. I want to drive that point home because a lot of times people think that celebration and appreciation and love is a price tag, a dollar sign. No, it's not. It's about setting boundaries. It's about creating experiences. It's about showing up for yourself, right? These are all things that don't necessarily cost money, but they have a huge impact on how you care for yourself, celebrate yourself, and then how others perceive and how they're going to celebrate you and care for you as well. So, a few questions that I want for you to ask yourself, okay? I want for you to ask yourself, the first one is, are you taking, or let's put it in the first person, am I taking myself for granted? Okay? Ask yourself that. Am I taking myself for granted? The lady who messaged me talking about her husband and how he was not celebrated for Father's Day. Obviously, the children are a bit younger if they're just texting versus calling or even showing up. So you say, okay, well, what can be done moving forward, right? Well, I think that, even as a parent, you should be able to say, hey, that hurt me. That bothered me. I was expecting for you to at least come and see me, at least give me a phone call, at least give me a Dollar Tree card. Something more than just a text message, a generic text message would have been great. I don't see any problem with that. Being a parent doesn't mean that you are void of feelings and emotions. No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that you can't be vulnerable. Being a parent doesn't mean that you have to hide your emotions from your children, especially when they're old enough to process, especially if they're old enough and they have children of their own. You should be able to say, yeah, I feel as though you did not celebrate me properly for all that I've done for you. Nothing's wrong with that. I mean, and if you didn't do it when they were younger, you might as well do it now, right? So I think that that's okay to do. I think you should do that if you're a parent, if you are a spouse, even, bring it. Find the right time. Ask Holy Spirit to give you the right time and the right moment. Maybe pillow talk, cuddle time, and say, "Hey, babe, I'm feeling as though maybe I'm not being celebrated in the best way." Say it. Bring it up. Ask Holy Spirit to show you, give you the right time. You know your spouse better than anybody else. But the first question you ask, before you ask anybody else to do for you, to celebrate you, to stop taking you for granted, the first question you're going to ask yourself is, am I taking myself for granted? Because I can tell you, years ago, I was taking myself for granted. I was shortchanging myself. I was being cheapy with myself. And so when it came to others, they were following suit. They didn't realize, but they were following suit. So I had to first answer that question. If you're taking yourself for granted, now is the time to stop. Now is the time to stop shortchanging yourself. Now is the time to look and see what you can do differently to celebrate yourself. Again, we're not talking about neglecting others. We're not talking about being selfish. We're talking about celebrating the fearfully and wonderfully made person that God created. Okay. All right. The next question you're going to ask yourself is, am I setting boundaries? Am I setting boundaries? Setting boundaries is such a healthy lifestyle. It's a healthy way to operate, because if you don't set boundaries for others, for yourself, then that's a lack of discipline. If there's no discipline, then there's disorganization. If there's disorganization, then there's stress, struggle, strife. You have to be organized. You have to set boundaries. So are you setting boundaries for yourself, for your time, your money, your resources, your energy? People around you need to know that you value boundaries. Now, does that mean that you're going to always be rigid and stiff? No, it doesn't mean that. But in the big scheme of things, people need to know that you set boundaries because they see you setting boundaries and keeping boundaries for yourself. If you are known in your inner circle as the person who's always going to run yourself ragged and you're never going to stop, you're going to do everything for everybody else and leave nothing for yourself. If you're known in your inner circle as that person, that's not healthy. Many times, especially women, we wear that as a badge of honor. I will do for everyone else and not think of myself. And I haven't done a thing for myself in years. I haven't bought a new pair of jeans for myself, but my kids are dressed to the 10th. Child, why? Why are you walking around looking like a homeless person and your kids are looking like kings and queens? Why? Why is it a badge of honor? That's foolish. That doesn't make any sense. Now, I could see if you could only afford to care for them and maybe things are so tight, but that doesn't mean you have to walk around looking homeless and bummy. Right? No, we can still take care of ourselves. We can still do for ourselves and do for others. It's not a badge of honor to let yourself fall apart at the expense of everybody else. That's not a badge of honor. It's foolish because you're trying to pour from an empty cup. So let's take it off of just the clothing, right? Because that might be too superficial for some. Let's take it a step further. If you know that you are so tired and so burned out, so stressed out, but yet you continue to overexert yourself. You say yes to every opportunity. You say yes to every request. You bend over backwards. Now your back is literally broken. How are you able to show up repeatedly? You're not. You're coming in as a fraction of yourself, a broken piece of yourself. You're coming in and you can't even show up properly because you have overextended yourself so much. Ladies, we've got to stop this. We've got to stop this, okay? I don't know what else to say. We have to stop this. We cannot continue to overextend ourselves and then try and wear it as a badge of honor. I don't do anything for myself. I don't take any time for myself, and you want for people to pat you on the back. That's foolish. That makes absolutely no sense. You are pouring from an empty cup. We have to stop that, okay? So set your boundaries for yourself. Respect your own boundaries, and that will teach other people around you to do the same. Now remember, again, we're talking about inner circle. We're not talking about at your job. That's a different discussion. We're not talking about acquaintances and strangers. That's a different discussion. We're talking about the people who impact your lives daily. Okay, those people we're talking about. Set boundaries for yourself, set boundaries for others, and then keep them. You'll teach others to do the same, and they'll treat you accordingly. Okay. All right. The next question you're going to ask yourself is, am I speaking kindly to or of myself? All right. This is another one. And I routinely have to remind myself of this because I have little children who are watching me. I have kids who are watching me. Lauren literally says she is my shadow. She's my 4-year-old. She'll say, "Mommy, I'm your shadow." And she will literally mimic and say everything I say. And most of the things that my children say, they've heard from home, good and bad. So I have to remind myself to speak kindly of and to myself. Everybody in my house knows that I'm on a weight loss journey, right? And thank God I'm about 10 pounds away from my goal. Praise God, all right? But even in the fact that I'm actively trying to lose weight, I try my best not to speak negatively of myself and degrade myself and call myself ugly names in front of my children. Why? Because they're hearing. I don't want to give them a complex on account of my insecurities. So are you speaking kindly of yourself? Are you speaking kindly about yourself and to yourself? Your voice is the voice that you will constantly hear. You know every lie you've ever told. You know. The rest of the world might not know, but you and God, you know every negative, mean word you've ever spoken, every lie you've ever told. So in that same token, you have to be very careful what you're saying outwardly within earshot of your friends, your family, your spouse, your children, because they're hearing that. And again, inadvertently, they're taking their cues from you. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to speak negatively and talk about how you look in front of you. No, but subconsciously, they are listening to what you're saying, and those negative seeds are being planted. So we have to be careful. Remember, you're teaching people how to treat you. Your words, if they're kind to yourself or about yourself, you're planting seeds. So you're teaching people how to treat you. Are you speaking kindly to and of yourself? So important. You said this one is hard to do. Which one, Tracy? Which one is hard to do? Let me know in the comment section which one you're speaking of. I mean, at times I think all of these things are hard to do, because we are wired. We're wired to care for others. We're wired to be selfless, especially as women, right? It's expected of us. And so many times it's used as a badge of honor, just how downtrodden we are. Let's change the narrative. Why don't we talk about how good we're taking care of ourselves and our families and our loved ones and how we are doing well at our jobs? I was listening to an audiobook, and men, according to the study that was being quoted in the audiobook, men don't usually have that problem. Men don't usually. Usually it's women. Men will, they will speak highly of themselves. They will show up for themselves. They will do what needs to be done, and they will have, certain expectations of others. But women, we're really good for, the damsel in distress and the damsel in stress. We are good for that, and we're good for speaking negatively about ourselves and for downplaying our progress and for just not caring for ourselves and thinking that it's cute. It makes us better. It makes us a better mother because we don't take care of ourselves. We only take care of our family and children. No, that's foolish. Speaking kindly to myself. Yeah, trust me. Trust me. You know who really helps me with this, Tracy? My husband. Like I said, I'm usually really good about watching what I say in front of the kids, because again, I don't want to give them a complex because I'm dealing with weight, right? But my husband, he's like, hey, I don't see all that you see. I don't agree with all that you're talking. So I've had to learn to speak kindly to myself and of myself, even around my spouse, right? But yeah, it's hard. It is hard to do it because we know all of our bad, the ugly. We know all of that, right? And so we are speaking what we know to be true, but not the truth of God necessarily, right? We know what to be fact, but not necessarily truth. But this is why we have these discussions. This is why we're having this discussion tonight, okay? Because remember, you teach people how to treat you. So first, you must treat yourself well. Treat yourself well. All right. Tracy says, if I say something bad about myself, Tim says, don't talk about my wife like that. Yep. That's exactly what Ron says as well. That is exactly what Ron says. And crazy thing, I have even taught my children. Let's say one of my kids says something like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. I'm so stupid. Before I even get a chance to correct them, one of their siblings will jump in and say, don't you talk about my brother like that. Don't you talk about my sister like that. So I'm teaching my children what to do. They know what to do. Don't speak about, unkindly about yourself. At the same time, here I am, big grown up, and I still have to remind myself to do the same. So this is a reminder to all of us. Speak kindly to and about yourself. Speak kindly to and about yourself. All right. Okay. The next question that I want for us to ask ourselves: am I showing up for myself? Am I showing up for myself? Ladies, drop in the comments. Are you showing up for yourself? Are you treating yourself the way you expect and want others to treat you? If the answer is no, then before we go expecting for others to treat us well and stop taking us for granted, we first have to do it for ourselves. Because remember, we can't control other people, This is not a manipulation tactic. This is leading and living by example. So we can't force anyone to love us. We can't force anyone to appreciate us or recognize and value us. You can't force anybody to, but you can lead by example, and you can give them tangible experiences and tangible examples for them to follow. So we first have to show up for ourselves. We all know the common statement, you can't pour from an empty cup. Yet so many women are running around with empty cups trying to pour the last drop out. Ladies, it's not wise. We've got to stop. And this conversation tonight is going to be a turning point. Commit to yourself. That is going to be a turning point. If you're committed to showing up for yourself, to setting boundaries, to stop taking yourself for granted, to speak kindly about yourself, if you're committed to doing that, then drop in the comments and just say me. Just type me. Not that you're being self-centered. You're not going to be negative and forsake other people. You're not going to neglect other people, but you are going to prioritize yourself. You are a priority. If no one has told you, if you have forgotten, I want for you to remember, you are a priority, because you cannot give that which you do not have. And at some point, you're going to be running on E. And what happens when cars are on E? they sputter and they come to a screeching halt because they can't go any further. And so that's where people get that burnout. And then now you're digging from a well that is already dry. You can't show up properly. You can't show up in a healthy way because you have nothing to give, because you haven't prioritized yourself. We all know the statement, self-care isn't selfish. But lady, are you actually practicing self-care? Because if you're not, then you can't expect for others to show up and take care of you. It would be great if it happened like that all the time. And yes, there are exceptions. Absolutely. Please don't think I'm saying that there are not exceptions. There are exceptions. But we shouldn't want to live in a place of exception. We should live in a place of exceptional living. We don't want to have to wait on the exception. Let's live in exceptional spaces and experiences. And it starts with you. It starts with you. If you see that people aren't showing up for you and you're pouring into them and you are giving to them and you're not reaping that from others, it could possibly be that you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for others and they expect that, they appreciate that, but you're not doing it for yourself. So they don't know how to do it for you because they've never seen it done. That's deep. Ladies, I really want for us to grasp this, because you're not alone. If you are sitting on tonight's episode and you're thinking, okay, well, it's just me, I'm the only person who feels as though I'm being taken for granted, you're not. I've been there. I am there in certain situations, in certain relationships. But what I've done is, over the past 5 to 6 years, I've made a concerted effort to stop taking myself for granted. Stop cheaping on my experiences. And I don't mean that just from a financial perspective. I mean that just in all things. My mindset no longer is, what is the least I can do for myself to get by? Stop thinking that way. I've thought that way for so many years. It's not healthy. And other people take the cues from you and they'll treat you the same way, and you'll always be disappointed. So stop taking myself for granted. I started setting boundaries for myself and showing up within the confines of those boundaries, and then expecting others to do the same. And they did, because now they see that mommy has boundaries, that my wife has boundaries, that my friend Sharonda has a boundary. And they respect that and they follow suit. I am continuously working on speaking kindly about myself and to myself. Again, I'm really good when it comes to the kids. I'm good when it comes to, friends and such. But yeah, hubby still helps me with this one. All right. You're not where you want to be. You haven't arrived, but you've left. You've left the station. So give yourself some credit. Okay. So speak kindly about yourself. And then the other thing I continue to do, because it's a continuous process. It's not a one and done. I show up for myself. And whatever capacity that is, and only you know what capacity that is. Or maybe you don't, and maybe that's the problem. So ask Holy Spirit, sit down and really think about yourself. It's not selfish to think about yourself. Remember, you can give only that which you have. If you don't know how to care for yourself, it's going to be very hard for you to adequately care for others before you run dry. You'll be able to do it for a time period, but then your quality of life is going to be disturbed. And at some point, you're going to crack. At some point, you're going to be disturbed. At some point, you're going to feel overwhelmed, anxious, and burnt out. So ask yourself these questions, okay? Am I taking myself for granted? Am I setting boundaries? Am I speaking kindly to and of myself? And am I showing up for myself? We can't expect people to do for us what we won't do for ourselves. And if when you ask yourself these questions, you find out that the answer is no, then it's time to make some changes. And the beautiful thing is that you can make these changes. And when you make these changes, then others will see the changes and they will act accordingly. And I don't want for you to feel as though you can't speak up, especially if you have grown children or you have friendships and relationships with individuals and you feel as though, hey, I'm being taken for granted, and you have done the work as far as pouring into these other people. And if you feel as though, you know what, I'm still not getting that which I need, You can say something. You can bring it up, right? And if they truly love you and if they truly care about you, then they should want to make those changes. And if they don't, lady, pack it up and move on. I'm not saying you can't be friends, but just, you know what it is from there on out. And I've had to make some of those hard decisions and have those hard conversations with people. And once I've said, hey, here's what I need, and if the person is unwilling, I just know where I stand in their life. And so it's my decision if I want to remain in close proximity or if I'm going to pack on and move. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. It's not always easy to do because, you have emotional ties and you have emotional bonds with people, but you have to be realistic. If someone is unwilling to show you the love and appreciation that you expect and deserve, and that you're showing to them and you're showing to yourself, the boundaries you set, if they're unwilling to do that, then you have to accept it, because you can't force anybody to like you, love you, or appreciate you. Otherwise, it's not genuine. It's being forced. Who wants that anyway? I don't, right? So yeah, it might mean making some hard decisions, having some hard conversations, some tears. I've shed tears from close people. And the way they responded to me, I never in a million years thought they would. But it's life. So then I'm able to redirect my attention and my intention and my emotions toward people who are willing to show and appreciate me, to love me unconditionally. You know what I'm saying? So these are all, I don't know, this is such a good chat. And those of you who are on, I really hope that while it might be uncomfortable, it's not one of our, feel good chats. It's more of a challenging conversation. I hope that you're getting something from it, because again, these are the things that we should be talking about, but we don't always, right? We wear all of this stress and we wear, neglecting ourselves as a badge of honor. It's a cape. It's oh, look at me. I don't do anything for myself. And I just come out the house looking any kind of way. And why are we doing that? You don't have to do that. It's a choice. If it's important to you, you will find a way to make it work. So I have to ask you, are you important to you? Are you important to you? Because you're important to God. So if God says you're important, lady, you're important. Okay, regardless of whoever else thinks that. Now, of course, everything we do with regard to our value, it comes from the Lord. Our value comes from being children of God. In and of ourselves, we're worthless. But with God, we're valuable. So we're not attributing our value based on what people do for us or what we do for ourselves. I'm not saying that. I'm not talking about value. I'm talking about feeling appreciated, because as humans, we want to feel appreciated. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be celebrated and to be acknowledged. There's nothing wrong. That's healthy. So we first need to do it for ourselves, and then we expect others to follow suit. And if they don't, lady, pack it up and move out. I mean, it is what it is. There are too many people in this world for you to be hung up on somebody who doesn't want to be hung up with you. I mean, that's just how I see it. Such good advice. Wonderful. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Ladies, don't forget to answer the question of the day. What is one thing you do to celebrate yourself? What is one thing you do to celebrate yourself? And for those of you who are tuning in right now, usually, remember, I go live at 7 p.m. on Thursdays, but on account of 4th of July here in the US, then I have, our live tonight. But just remember that I usually go live on Thursdays at 7 p.m. All right. Now, I also want for you to do something. I want for you to share tonight's episode, because there are many people who did not hear tonight's chat. There are many people who need to hear tonight's chat. So as soon as we're done, I want for you to share the episode. Okay, make sure you share it with a friend. The replay is going to be just as impactful. All right, and I don't want for anybody to miss this, because it is a topic. I'm telling you, I can probably count on two hands. I'm thinking of at least 8 people that I talked to just this past May and June, men and women who had this same sentiment. They felt taken for granted. They felt unappreciated by their children or by their spouse, right? Because of Mother's Day, Father's Day. And I say there is a better way to do things. Again, I'll go back to what I do in my family. For Father's Day, I will ask all 5 children, what are you doing for your father? What are you doing to celebrate him? Whether you have a job or not, what are you doing? Because showing love and appreciation does not always mean spending money. So are you writing him a card? Are you singing him a song? Are you coming over? Are you cooking something for him? Are you buying something for him? What are you doing for him? And I'm setting a precedent for them so that they know I need to celebrate my father. I don't just need to come to him when I need something. And the same token, I expect for my husband to reach out to them and say, what are you doing for your mother? We're teaching our children how to do these things because when my little ones are grown and out of the house, I want for them to be able to celebrate their spouses properly. And then also to continue to celebrate me and my husband. Okay. And I don't know why people are afraid to say that. I don't know why parents think that it's cute to, have selfish children who only come back when they need something. That's not cute to me. I've talked to parents and I'm like, really? You think that's cute? And they're like, oh, well, if so-and-so calls, then they must really need something. Really? That's the only time your children call you? When they're in stress, struggle, strife, or they're in jail? Are you serious? No, I'm not raising children like that. And shame on parents who sanction that. Okay? And if you are that parent, I love you, but there's a better way to live. There is a better way to live. You can train up your child to appreciate you. It doesn't only have to be when they need something that you hear from them. I've literally been on the phone with people and they're like, oh, if so-and-so calls, I know what it is. They need something. I'm like, do they ever call you when they just want to say hi? Do they ever just shoot the breeze with you and check on you? That's going to be hurtful. But they had to learn that from something or from somewhere. So we have to train our children, train your spouse, right? Because if not, then you're going to be left feeling unappreciated. All right. And so I know we have some who are joining the conversation a bit late. There's so much that I said tonight, not just the snippet that you're hearing. So please, watch the replay once tonight is over, because we are talking about what to do when you're being taken for granted, right, by your inner circle, and what you can do, because you can't change other people. You can't change what people do, but you can, in fact, change how you operate, and that can impact how other people treat you. Okay, so I talked all about it. So again, if you're catching it, toward the end, make sure you listen to the full replay. All right, so let's see. That is what I had for tonight's episode. As a reminder, July. Who is planning on coming to our Grown Lady Chat in-person conference, July of next year? Let me know in the comment section. If you're catching the replay, even on Facebook, come on, let me know. I know last few times I've mentioned it, I've had, women chiming in the chat. I want to know if you plan on coming. The easiest way for you to find out all that's happening in the Grown Lady Chat community is really just to be a part of my email community. Okay, drsharondasimone.com. You can find all the information there as far as the emails that I send out. Okay, so if you ever want to know what's going on, you can reach out to me by email, text message, DM, all of that. But if you want updates about what's happening in the Grown Lady Chat community, the best thing to do is join my email community. All right, join the email community. And Tracy says she'll be there. Ooh, 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 ooh. We love to hear it. Yay, I am so excited. Oh. Ooh, hey, Jessica. Hey, Dr. Brown. All right, she says, I'm coming a bit late, but hi, everyone. Welcome, my dear. So happy that you are tuning in. Yes, please, Jessica, catch the replay, because I know that it's going to be helpful. even if not for you, it will be something that you'll want to share with somebody else. Okay, please. So I'm so happy that that you're tuning in. I'm happy that you're going to be at the conference in July. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. Also, there were a few of you who did not get in the Grown Lady Chat Mastermind, the GLC Mastermind group, the GLC Plus. And so you're on like the wait list. Okay. The next cohort is the GLC Plus, the Mastermind Group Intensive, a 4-week intensive. The next cohort is going to be this fall. All right. So I'm looking at like September. So if you want more information about that as well, make sure that you're on the email list, because I'll send out notifications for you to sign up. I always keep or my plan is to always keep the cohort small so that it can be very intimate. So, if it's something you're interested in, you really want to hop on as quickly once the registration opens up. Okay. So just stay tuned for that, for the GLC Plus cohort. The next cohort is opening up in September of 2024. Okay. So you don't want to miss that. But that's all I have for tonight. That's all I have. Ladies, I really enjoyed tonight. I believe this is a conversation that we can have again and again. I believe that it is somewhat of a taboo topic, but it's one that we need to have as grown ladies, right? Because we are constantly trying to push ourselves to be the best version of, what God has for us, right? So I hope that you enjoyed tonight's chat. I hope that you got something from it. Again, if you weren't able to tune in from the beginning, no problem. As soon as this episode ends, you can catch the replay. Please go ahead and share tonight's episode with a friend, a family member, your best friend, your children. Okay, share it. Maybe you can, get the message to them that way. Say, hey, I was watching this Grown Lady Chat episode, and I thought you could benefit from it because you have a family. Maybe your children are grown, and you want for them to do something a little bit differently than maybe you did, right? Maybe you want to have them have a different experience, or you want for them to also step their game up, okay, and show appreciation. But either way you take it, I just want for you to share tonight's episode so that as many people can benefit as possible. All right. So I hope everyone has a wonderful 4th of July. All right. I am off tomorrow. Yay. So I'll be spending time with my family. I'm getting some work done for my my other businesses. And there will also be a sale for 34.5 Lifestyle. Yeah. Okay. So another reason why you need to be on the email list, because there will be a sale happening tomorrow for 34.5 Lifestyle. That is my accessory line. So for the 4th of July. So that's it. That's all I have to catch you up on. All right. I missed you all. I really did. And the episodes will resume, as always, Monday and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. So before we head out, is there anything that anybody else wants to say? Anything at all? Let me know. Is there anybody who wants to come on and chat? Let's see. There is the link. If anybody wants to come on, you can do it through Facebook or on YouTube. Oh, and thank you so much. I have received a few messages from Grown Lady Chat community just saying how much you all are appreciating the episodes and the content and just giving me encouragement to keep going. Thank you. It means a lot to me. All right. I appreciate it so much, because you don't know how many times I feel like, is it helping? Is it having an impact, Lord? Am I doing that which you told me to do? Am I hitting the mark, Lord? And it feels like every time I'm asking that question, one of you reaches out and you let me know that you're being blessed, you're being encouraged, you're enjoying the GLC community. So thank you very much. You know who you are. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, those of you who I met in person this past weekend in Ohio, thank you, all right, for tuning in and being a part of Grown Lady Chat. I really, really appreciate you. It means so much to me. And I bless God for the opportunity to share my heart, my experiences, my struggles with you. And I cherish the fact that we can grow together. So thank you very much. All right, ladies, with that, I'm going to sign off for this evening. Okay, so again, thank you so very much for tuning in. I will see you again at 7 p.m. on Monday, Eastern Standard Time. All right, so until next time, remember, I am Dr. Sharonda Simone, and I will either see you at the top or from the top. You decide. Bye.